so much, Kevin and Gabrielle, for having me here tonight. Good evening, everybody else. My name is Tran, and by trade, I am an analyst working in the supply chain management in the healthcare industry. By passion, I'm super excited about design thinking and entrepreneurship. I really think that learning the entrepreneurial mindset and design thinking skill could help people work together, solve problems, and change the world, take over the world. By hobby, I really love music. I play piano and sing. And so today, I would like to talk about my kind of like journey from using Excel to to be a Python user. And literally what my boss usually describe, how we do our work is, after we show Tran and Brian this idea, they're gonna do their magic. And really for the Python Pro, they'd be like, oh, this like so easy. But for somebody who don't know anything about automation and about Python, look like so cool. You click a button and then everything is done. And so I want to tell my story to encourage everybody in the audience who identified themselves as a Python beginner, anybody else who used Python a ton but have not worked a ton in data to get started. I hope that I can provide, one thing that you walk away with that you feel like, oh, I knew of this, but now I know more. And for the pro Python in the audience, I have some kind of like tricky Python question, keep you engaged and help you provide your knowledge for everybody else. So without further ado, I want to talk to you a little bit about my journey first, actually. So I learned to use Excel when I was 14 years old. I don't even know why my mom put me into that class. Just thought that it's a cool thing to learn how to use Excel, so I show up and I learned how to use Excel. And we had a business we was the direct dealership of Suzuki, which is a popular motorcycle manufacturer in Asia. And so I was helping her keeping track of ordering motorcycle part using Excel. So that is, the earliest view of Excel. And when I graduated from college, I want to look for a company that have a mission and work with cool people. And so I heard of this company that's called the Resource Group that hire based on the 7 attributes, and some of them are nice, bright, high energy, and willing to give away power, so on and so forth. And I thought, cool. If everybody around me are nice, that would be a cool place to work. So I know that they are an Excel-heavy organization, and so I take on the task of learning pivot tables so that I can, pass the Excel assessment and work for them. And Excel kind of become, part of my life. It's so cool. I write macro and just make, things work, and doing the drop-down list, make it look like it's a program, but it's actually not really a program. And in my day-to-day job, there's a lot of, literally when I started, my coworker handed me a 10-step, this is how you do this. You just take this number from this spreadsheet, and then you plug into that spreadsheet, and you copy-paste from this spreadsheet, and then you paste it into the other spreadsheet. This is a lot of repetitive tasks that's really, really getting a little bit boring. And, we roll by fiscal year. So at the beginning of the fiscal year, we only have 1 month of data. Until the end of the fiscal year, we start to have 12 months of data. And so one day I just saw a notification on that Excel that say, oh, the data is low uncompleted, because Excel just can't process it anymore. And this become more of my day-to-day, just like sit and wait for that infamous rotation wheel. And so I was just like, there must be another way to do this data. And luckily, I talked to my boss, who is a Python user, and we say, hey, how about you learn how to code? And I have been always wanting to learn how to code. But when I was little, I kind of like grow up around people who think that like coding and IT is only for guy, and girl, you don't do coding because it's gonna make you like bored and boring. Girls who learn IT wear like thick glasses and they're super boring. So it's a no-no. And so I thought that's the truth, and I'm like, okay, no coding. Until now, so it's kind of like the time to learn to code, so I just kind of like jump into it. And so today, I'd like to show you kind of like the step of how I started with Python and how I work through things. And I think there's no better learning than just kind of do it. So I have here a scenario, and I believe everybody can read, so I'll let you kind of like read the scenario. But essentially, we have a lot of data in different spreadsheets from 23 different countries, and then you have to report to the top of your secret organization of how many new brewery that's open in this country every month. And so this is a repetitive task that you're going to be doing every month. Every month, there's a secret agent in that country who's going to send you the data, and you're going to combine the data and send the report to the big boss. And then secondly, they also want you to kind of like keep a special eye in the 3 special countries, which is Germany, Belgium, and the United States, and also put in the location point. So in this scenario, the location point is in a separate table. So you have to somehow plug that number into the other data. So before we get into the step, let's just take a look at the data. Oh, I have it on this side. Yeah, so literally this is how the data look. You have, data from 23 different countries, and it's all in separate tab. Okay, so like Finland this month, they have like 2 new breweries. If you look at this country, I can't see what it is from here. Oh, Lithuania. Okay, so this is how the data kind of look in Excel. And if you kind of like cheat a little bit, then probably you're going to open 23 different Excel sheets, and then you copy paste into one. But let's see if we can do that in Python without having to do the copy paste. So one of the things that I discovered in my earlier Python user day is that before I work on something, I'm going to list out everything that I want to do, like all the different steps. And then I'm going to go into Google and ask Google, how am I going to do this? And probably somebody in Stack Overflow is going to know the answer. So for this scenario, the first step is just kind of like load the data into Python, or read the data. And then second is sort of like, instead of the copy paste and just open up 23 different sheets, then you just combine the data somehow into one kind of big data table. And then you create a pivot table for all the brewery that's going to have like country, and then how many brewery in that country. So that's how we kind of like visualize the end goal. And then you somehow have to, plug out only the brewery from the 3 special countries into one pot. And then finally, find a location point for each of these breweries from the other table that you were having. Okay, with that said, let's get to work. And so, Kelvin said that live code would be cool, but one thing that I have in my experience is that when you try to demo something, it never works. Like something is not gonna turn out well. So, let's see if we can pull it up today. I actually kind of have a script that I rewritten, and then instead of kind of just show you the screenshot, I'm gonna live code, but I will, do it step by step and explain what is going on. So the first step is that just pull out the dictionary that's gonna be helping us dealing with this data. So there's a ton of library in Pandas, in Python, but the Pandas library help us deal with data frame. And then NumPy, deal with number, the glot, and the OS. will help us deal with the path. And it's going to be helpful when you try to combine multiple files in one directory. And then the next thing is to work with the relative address. So to open this file, why don't I just like write the whole address out? So imagine you can tell the address of this place is something something on Meridian Street, Indianapolis, zip code 46032, 46032 is in Carmel. Oh, that's a good idea. I actually don't know how to zoom. Oh, it's Python, it's idle. Code context. And then favorite key. Oh, size. Yeah, we probably need 34.
Hit OK, or is it too? I don't know if we can scroll to the bottom.
It didn't appear to change what was projected.
Oh. How do we
Go a little smaller. Maybe you can get to the bottom.
Control Shift plus plus?
There we go. The dialogue went off the bottom of the.
Oh. See? Learn one new things today. So what you did was go into option. That's how you change the font size. That is so helpful. Yes. And so the path. Yes. Why don't we just use the, spell out everything when you want to point out where your file is. Because if you do that, then every time I'm going to refer to this directory again, I have to spell out everything. Just like when you write your address, you have to spell out, okay, I'm in this city, in this country, blah, blah, blah. If we already know that we sending like domestic mail, we don't even put like USA. We just put like Indianapolis or like, I am in Indiana, we put Kentucky, we put California. That's it, because we know it's domestic. So this is similar. So instead of saying, C user, blah, 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 every time I refer to this, I'm just going to use this variable called path. And that's Python going to understand that I am talking about this directory. Okay, this is the next step. This is the next thing that I will learn tonight. Okay, is that? Okay, thank you. That is great. Okay, I think this is the perfect size. Okay, so next, we want Python to go to the folder that where all my data is, and then grab on the file that start with, IDP, which is like IndyPy. That's what we tell Python to do. And so anything that starts with IDP, and then the asterisk there is what called regular expression, and I'm not going to go a ton in depth about that tonight, but that's going to help us get like everything that starts with IDP. And the file type is XLSX. So go to that directory, and anything that starts with IDP and end with XLSX, just grab everything for me. And then the next thing that we need to do is now actually load data into Python. And to load data into Python, I have this super crazy function row that actually should be kind of like broken into two. So if you ever learn about coding, you probably know the for loop already. So here what I'm telling Python is that, help me kind of combine all the data, all the table in the file, and where is it? It's gonna from when you read those files, which is an Excel file, that's why I'm using the read Excel function here, and then the for loop. So this is like kind of like a short version of doing, for F in file, and then read Excel, and then concat those. And if you remember something from our data, every table is going to have this data head. And so there's going to be duplication of this data head in the table that we combine. So how are we going to get rid of those? So the answer is Python actually have something that just will beautifully drop that for us. We just literally drop duplicate. Okay, drop duplicate. And to make sure that this file is running fine, I'm gonna print out the first 5 line of the data to see if this is running. And whenever, the nice thing about Python is whenever you want to run it, you have to save it. So in Excel, you can work like so long without having to save, and then if your computer crashes, then you kind of lose everything. So to prevent that, every step of the way in Python, you have to save. Okay, so this is too big. Sure. Yeah. So, and now it's not printing. Let me do it here. Okay. I'm just like try to shrinking so that you can see the screen. Okay, so we are up to here where I do the drop duplicate. So for the time constraint, I'm just gonna go straight into the next step, in which all I did was to change the column into kind of like all cap, make it get started with the capital letter. And because my Python, for some reason, didn't display a lot of columns, it's only displayed the first and the last column. That's why I have this function here, so that it displays 20 columns. And in Python, you can use the function pivot table to create a pivot table. And everything is the same. There's a same value, and index is the country. Index is the row, if you was doing it in Excel. The aggregate function is whether you want to sum or you want to count your data line. And the margin is where you do the total, whether you want to have calculate the total, the subtotal going to be in the margin. And the next step is to kind of like see the special country. I create a list that have all these 3 special country, and I filter the new data frame for the country which is only in the special country list. And then I read the other Excel table that have the location code. And then I join the 2 data frame. And so for the time, in the time instruct, I'm just gonna going to print the results so that we can see. Okay, now it's super big that it's even hard to see. Yeah, so these are information on the brewery. And with the last column, being the location. So this is how you, instead of do VLOOKUP, you're going to do a merge. And so in the time that I have left, I am going to have a couple questions for the pro in the house. And so anybody want to comment on what is the difference between join and merge? So earlier I was trying to do it with merge, but for some reason I could not get it to work. And so this is one thing that I have been struggling for a while, just kind of like fighting what is the difference between join and merge. So anybody want to like throw out some quick idea about what's the difference between join and merge? Yeah, go ahead.
One of them depends on having the same field in both steps. I'm not sure which one, I use a different spreadsheet, but it will depend on having the same field. And if you don't have that, and if you don't have the same array size,
Right. Yeah.
right? Look for identity between array size and the same field.
Right. Any other idea? I saw a hand on this side. Want to add anything else? Yeah, because earlier I was having the ID low cap and then the ID higher cap in the other data frame, and it didn't work until I used this, until I used joy, and then it just kind of understand that the ID low cap and the ID high cap is the same thing. Okay, so hopefully I get you a little bit more comfortable with, kind of like jump into Python now. And I know it's like super quick and not too much detail, so the point is just kind of like show that it could work. And if you get started, you will get there. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening.